I have a few follow-up questions, and the first one I actually want to use a quote from your book for that, and it's, but more than that, Indigenous Americans tend to see this living world as a fantastic and beautiful creation, engendering extremely powerful feelings of gratitude and indebtedness, obliging us to behave as if we are related to one another. Nature provides messages and answers we seek in life. All we are asked is to listen. And you talked about those messages, and I noted that question before our conversations. Do you have examples, maybe your top 3, your top 5, you choose your number, of messages that you learned in nature and that you are now transcending into your everyday life or into the everyday life of your family?
Well, now you're going to make me cry because like I said, my mom passed on July 6th. And in June, I was back visiting her, and I highly recommend that everybody does this with those that you love. I pressed record on my phone. There are some things that I do know how to do and when it comes to technology. And I pressed record on my phone, my voice memos, and I set it down with her. I had no idea that we did not see this coming. But it was the middle of the night, and I had a conversation with her about life, and I asked her favorite prayer, and then I asked her about, and she recited it for me, and I asked her some things like, have you ever felt the hands of God? Have you ever been in nature and felt anything? Have you felt angels? Have you felt, those of you who passed before you? Never in a million years would I have thought that she was going to leave this earth. And I told her when I was having this conversation with her, I said, Mom, I've had really deep spiritual experiences in nature. Do you want to hear some of them? She's like, sure. So I told her about how Christmas Eve, I was leading. These are the top 2 that I'm going to give you right now, okay? And they come together. Christmas Eve, 2020, I was leading a group of grieving clients through the Grand Canyon. It was Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and it was Christmas Eve that we were hiking back to Phantom Ranch, and we were racing, and we were like, oh, we got to get back to get a shower. And finally, I said to them, this is stupid. Drop everything. Doesn't matter if we get clean. Like, let's just enjoy this. And so we literally dropped our packs. We leaned up against the canyon walls, and I said, this is Christmas Eve. Like, how beautiful is this? And the sky was black, and you could see the stars coming through, and we just had a beautiful day. And, these are people that are really learning how to balance what it is to grieve and also experience joy at the same time, to hold both and one. And all of a sudden, I said, you guys turn your headlamps off. And they turned their headlamps off. And I said, look up into the sky. And the most beautiful rainbow came around the moon. And it was the most spiritual experience. And I said, your loved ones are here. They're always with us. And all of a sudden we looked up, and there were 2 white lines that formed in the sky in the form of a cross. You could call it an X, you could call it a cross, and then there was the O, and it was like hugs and kisses, right? And it was magical. Like, those are the gifts that we get out there. And this is literally that quote, right? We just have to listen. Everybody is there with us. We just have to listen. So fast forward, so I was telling this to her in this recording, and I had forgotten that I had told it to her, right? I'd totally forgotten about this, that this was in the recording. And then she passed away July 6th. July 7th, I had to lead a group down to the Grand Canyon. And I talked to my family about it because I had 3 retreats that I was running in the month of July. And I said, what do I do? And they said, Mom would want you to go. And so take them in. Also use this as your space of healing, because this is where you go. And, we'll have the services and everything when you get back. Okay. And so July 7th, I took my crew to the Grand Canyon, my group. And on July 8th, we were hiking down in, and I had a conversation with her when I was hiking down that South Kaibab Trail. And I said, Mom, I just want to know that you're okay. I want to know that you're here and that I made the right decision by, leading these groups. And so we were almost to the bottom, and we were actually crossing the bridge, and I looked up, and there were 2 rainbows that made a cross in the sky. And I'm like, oh my God, this is Mom. Like, she's here, right? And then I got to the water where the group was, And we all sat there, and all of a sudden we looked up, and this beautiful rainbow formed around the sun. It was the most beautiful, magical thing I've ever seen in my life. Like literally the most magical thing I've ever seen in my life. I took a video of it, and I posted on my Instagram page because I was like, we need to be more aware and listen and have the conversations and understand that, those who have passed before us, those who are coming post us, we are all one connected human space, right? It's very spiritually, energetically. But the coolest thing was the clouds then parted into a heart right in the middle of that sun. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. I hear you. And then I went back and listened to the recording, and I realized that I had told her about that when I was with her during our last visit. And so those would be my top two. And I will tell you that I've had that happen many, many, many times where, it's delivered in the moments that I've needed it most. And then the third would be same thing, mom. I mean, that woman, she's powerful. We were up in Alaska the last part of July, and I was in my Alaska retreats. We kayak, so we do a lot of water healing next to glaciers and surrounded by these beautiful, majestic mountains. And we were having a conversation about sitting with your I ams, right? Like really being very thoughtful and having intention of who you are. And I was explaining my very, deep moments of I ams. I am strong. I am resilient. I am whatever it is. And I was talking about how I learned those through mom. And all of a sudden we looked up, and kid you not, this is actually pretty wild. Looked up, and there was a mountain not filled with snow at all, except that there was snow that had the words I am on the mountain, right? And so I looked at them and I said, I kind of looked up, and they all looked up. They saw what I was looking at, and they were like, holy shit. And I went, I will take that as a message. And so, it's really powerful how nature delivers, how it is so, impactful in our lives. And it's a gift, and it's something that I think that we, in today's world, don't utilize enough. You look at other cultures, and, when I'm in the canyon, I can feel the spirits. I can feel, you can call it whatever you want, right? Like, you can call it your past, you can call it those who have walked the trail before, whatever. The point being is that when we are more aware, when we are open ourselves up, that is when we truly are aligned, mind, body, heart, soul, right? And we can allow ourselves to see, view, experience life differently, living differently, and get a better perspective of what it is to truly create the life that was intended for each and every one of us. Can't do that when you're closed off. You just can't. You just can't. It doesn't work. You can, but I don't know. You can try. I will say though that, it's a much more beautiful way to live when you can be open and understand that, through that openness, you will find so much more of who you are. So those would be my top three.
So if you like that, make sure to check out the full-length episode here and leave a subscribe. Thank you.